Hello, 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 hello. Right. Hello, hello, hello. I'm very sorry, ladies. I'm not gonna have any note takers. So I'm just gonna turn note takers off just because the information changes all the time and because I know what I'm like and I might tell you stuff that's actually um company confidential and then it's out in the ether and then I'm like, oh shit. So I'm just gonna say my um Instagram because I like to do that too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Every time I do this session, there's more people on. Oh, sorry, different people on. And every time I do it, it's very similar. It's very much the same. But there's always something that I kind of tend to lean into just kind of naturally. So thank you for coming. Oh, just, sorry, bear with me 1 second. The session is going to last, and you're going to think, what the frick? There we go. The session is going to last 2 hours. You don't have to stay for 2 hours. And so stay for as long as you like. Leave, come back, however you want to work it. What will happen is it's sort of 90 minutes long. So we sort of spend about the first half an hour going over what's changed, why it's changed, and what's happening. Then we'll go into spend another sort of half an hour going over real specifics of what the algorithms are, how they work. Then we'll go into what you can do and how you can that's cool. When we'll go into what you can do and how you can make it better for you. And then the last half an hour is an open Q&A. So you won't miss much in that bit. If you have to leave, that's honestly, it's totally fine. I'm literally here every Friday, 11, same Zoom link, saying pretty much the same thing. And there is a replay bouncing around. But yes, it is being recorded. And I'll share the recording. So, welcome everybody. I'm going to share my screen, otherwise I know that I'll go totally off track because it's just kind of in my nature. But please answer all questions as we go and just brain dump into the chat as well. I might not necessarily stop to answer questions because I might know in my head that it's coming up that I'll answer it. But if you keep a running mental dump, it means that I can make sure that I really cover it off for you towards the end. So basically, you'll all hear because you've been hearing me banging about how the algorithm's changed. And it really, really, truly has. Like, this is genuinely a whole new social media platform. You don't know it exists because it looks exactly the same, but it has completely fundamentally changed. And I'm going to walk you through everything that I can about that. Um, it's been happening since about 2021. It's a full generational shift. This is very, very, very defining, and they themselves have said so. It is a biblical flood of change. It has already started to rain. Like, we're all getting wet, and the flood is coming. It's already here. This will be the first full year of the Discovery era algorithms. It's going to be fascinating from my point of view to see what happens across this year in terms of social media discovery. But it's super, super, super different. So I'm going to walk you through firstly who I am and why I'm here sitting you telling this thing. And we're going to go into some key commercial details about what I do, which will help you in the future of where you get your information from. We're going to go into the what and the why of the change, and then the what and the why of the algorithms, and then how you can combat it and what you can do for yourself. So firstly, I'm Minga Hunter. It rhymes with Minga. I own two companies, and it's really important that you understand the commercial driver behind both of my companies because it's going to help you understand where you get information from and why you aren't seeing this anywhere else. I have been in social media a long time. I've had 4 successful companies in social. I started my first business when I was 17. I am entrepreneurial through and through. But I've also been a leading voice and advisor in social, a lecturer in social, and a go-to-marketing consultant for the last 9 years. But what's really important for you to understand is that I come from a family of 2 generations of program architects, computer programmers and software architects. So a lot of the time in social media, you have social media people, and a lot of the time in technology, you have technology people. There is never a bridge between the two. Social media people are very, very good at being creative. They're very good at making videos. They're very good at like focusing on innovation and change and very uh, interesting is the wrong word. I was going to say interesting. They're different people, right? Technological people are very systematic. They focus a lot on retention. They focus a lot on building and doing the same thing in out, in out, in out, in out, and incremental growth and changes. Social media is something that has been built by technical people, but populated by creative people. There's not many people whose brains can sit across the two. My dad told me when I was 8 that we'd already reached singularity, which is where AI has its own consciousness. And so my whole life has been driven by technological mindset, and I'm the only one that's sat in this kind of creative marketing world. So I understand how to read AI architecture. I understand how they think. I understand how they operate, what they need and want. But the key thing to understand about me is I have two companies. The first is Clue Content. Clue Content is a production company. We make social media videos, we make images, we make graphics, all of the stuff that you see, the visual stuff. And I have Clue Labs, which is a technological company. Clue Labs analyzes social media data, figures out what's working, what isn't working, and tells you what to do next. Both of these companies have very different commercial drivers. Clue Content is usage, and Clue Labs is optimization. The way that I make my money in Clue Content is creating videos. The more videos people need, the more money I make. So in Clue Content, a good line of communication would be, you need more videos. You need more videos, you need more content, you need more. Because the more I can convince someone to create more, the more they need my services, the more money I would make. That's a usage-based commercial model. Clue Labs, however, is optimization. Clue Labs' job is to get you to the point of making 3 posts with a performance of 30. So the less I can make you post, the better my technology has worked for you. And so Clue Labs is based on optimization, because if I can make you post less, you'll tell all your friends, and then they'll come and sign up to Clue Labs so that they can post less. And then the more people that are signed up to Clue Labs, the more data I have to understand across accounts. It's all anonymized, don't worry. Across accounts, which means the better suggestions I can give again, so the more optimization I can provide. If I was only coming to you today with Clue Content, I would not tell you the things I'm going to tell you, because what I'm going to tell you is how things work and how to post less. If I was coming to you, so you need to understand that the reason why you're not hearing what I'm going to talk to you about from other people in social media is because everyone in social media has a usage-based commercial model. Everyone in social media needs you to post more so that you pay more, even the social media platforms themselves. Okay, and we're going to get into this, and it's important for you to kind of really just sit and think about that for the duration of this session, but also for the understanding of where you're going to get your information from in the future about what to do. Both is okay, both are valid, both have their argument points. It's just that you will very rarely, if at all, find anyone talking to you from a optimization point of view, especially if their driver is usage. But let's get into what we're actually seeing, what's happening, the platforms, the algorithms. So, like I said, it's a biblical flood of change, and it's already started to rain. You'll have seen symptoms of this. Throughout this session, I'm going to talk to you from 2 points of view: a person who creates content on the platform and someone who scrolls on the platform. And everything that I'm going to talk to you through is based around Meta focused first, but it is happening on all of the platforms. So the reason why I'm talking to you through Meta is because Meta owns Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and WhatsApp. WhatsApp is considered a social platform. We're not talking about that today, but they own 3 of the major platforms. The other companies are LinkedIn, that's owned by Microsoft, YouTube owned by Google, TikTok owned by ByteDance, and X owned by Elon Musk. So as much as I'm telling you about Meta first, and you'll see a lot of references to Meta, please understand that this affects every platform. When you only have five boys that own all the social media data in the world, you can tell for sure that they are looking at what each other are doing and implementing it into their own thing. And in fact, the reason why all of this has happened is because ByteDance, who own TikTok, released their For You page in 2021. Everyone else freaked out about it and so developed their own algorithms that act in a similar way. But you'll have seen the same thing. So, as someone who is creating content on the platforms, stagnant reach, stuck follower growth, low views, random old posts seem to get traction. When you scroll, it feels like it's full of irrelevant content, and you might feel like your account's gone invisible. And if you're working with a marketing agency or you are a marketing agency, you'll feel like you're unable to report performance, or they'll be coming back to you with things that you're not happy with because they genuinely cannot report performance because it is all over the place. As a scrolling person, anyone watching this is probably both. As a scrolling person, you'll have seen micro conversations underneath your posts. So like random, when people comment, like you won't be able to figure out which comment tends to come up as the first one that people see unless you pin stuff. You'll be seeing strangers content from weeks ago, like on LinkedIn in particular. We tend to see stuff that's been posted 2 weeks ago rather than relevant recent stuff. You'll be getting stuck in really, really niche loops. You'll be seeing the same unfamiliar creators even though you're not following them. And you'll feel like posts are too accurate, or you'll have the opposite reaction of like, oh my God, it gets me, it gets me, it gets me. But these are all symptoms of the same thing. A lot of content that you might see on social media at the moment, because everyone's kind of catching up to this, is content around the symptoms. But it's the same as someone saying, you've got a runny nose, here's a tissue. Or you've got a headache, take a painkiller. What I'm going to talk you through aren't the symptoms. It's not the runny nose. It's not the headache. It's the fact you've got a virus cold. That's what I'm going to go into. So I took two different platforms here to compare to kind of just straight off the bat illustrate to you what's happened. Instagram and LinkedIn, because they're so very, very different. In the beginning of social media, the granddaddy of social media, Facebook, it was set up to connect friends. So you logged on, you connected with your friends, and you saw their content. And then you might have had friends and family, and you, at the very, very beginning, would have only seen in your feed posts from people that you were friends with, and you'd have seen all of their posts if you scrolled long enough. Over time, social media got busier and busier and busier. More people got on it, more people got on it, more people got on it. And so what you saw when you were scrolling wasn't every single piece that someone had created, but bits of what they'd posted. So you'd get like a kind of overarching view of everyone that you were following. As it then continued to evolve, you saw adverts coming into play. So as you were scrolling, you'd see friends, families, acquaintances, connections, business people, anyone who you followed. You'd see their content, and then you'd see adverts in as well. You hadn't opted in to see the adverts, but they were placed there. Now what's happening is that when you scroll, you'll see a percentage of what you've opted in to see, i.e. what you followed, and then you'll see a percentage of adverts, and you'll see a percentage of content that's been placed there by an AI suggested algorithm, which is what we're going to go into. But this means that on Instagram, as you scroll, 85% of what you see has been placed there by an AI. On LinkedIn, it's 82.5. And so as you scroll, you used to see 100% of your content you saw was from people you were following, maybe a little bit of adverts. And on LinkedIn, it was about 100%. Now, as you scroll, as a scroller, this person, about 15 to 17% of what you see is what you've opted in to see. The rest is a huge portion of it is adverts, and then the majority of it has been placed there, and they're not people you follow, they're not people that you know maybe, but they've been placed there because an AI thinks you'll be interested in it. What this means for a brand is that if someone logs on and they only see 15% of their scroll is what they've opted in to see, you as a brand are only competing in a pool every time you post of 15%. Before the AI content came in, so sort of springtime last year, you had a 60% chance of being seen by someone who was following you. Now you have a 3.5% chance of being seen by someone who's following you, which is a huge difference. Which is why you haven't got the reach, you haven't got the views, you haven't got the followers, because you are now not being seen by the people who have opted in to see you. And we're going to get into the difference and what actually happens, but that is the reason. If anyone tells you, oh, it's because you haven't posted carousels or you haven't posted at 8 o'clock or whatever, none of that's true. It's because the competition in the feed has gone so much and you're competing with algorithms and adverts, you only have a 3.5% chance of being seen. So social media has moved from what was called the social graph into a discovery engine. In the old world, the social graph worked by kind of a 6 degrees of separation. So you would post a post. That post then got seen by a small percentage of your current followers. And then if it worked well, it would go and see more people that were following you. It was generally around about 1 or 2%. They would send it out to you first, and then they would send it to other people. On the social graph world, the way that they would test whether to show it to more people was if this post gets likes or comments, that means a follower is compelled enough to visibly engage with it. Therefore, it must be good. Let's show it to more people. So that's how it worked, right? And the social graph working on 6 degrees of separation meant that your post that you posted, it worked best generally if it was if it got likes, if it got comments, if it got interaction from people who already knew you existed and opted in to see you and liked that piece of thing. And so that was how you got social distribution. And so the game with the social graph was to get as many followers as possible and get as many likes as possible. No one says this explicitly, but it's because the more followers you had, the bigger that first pool would be. So 1 to 2% of testing and then to everybody else, the bigger that pool would be. And so the chance was higher that someone would like and comment on it. And the reason why you wanted likes and comments is because they would increase your chance of being distributed more. So the old social graph was built on a relationship basis, and the goal was more followers, more likes. And this is the way that everyone operates in social media. And this is the way that everyone will tell you, and the way that you probably want to grow on social media, because we have had a decade of muscle memory in this way of distribution. The discovery engine, which is the new algorithms that they've all adopted, which were rolled out in October last year, completely replaced all of the AI architecture, all of the algorithm architecture of the old one. Literally, they rewrote it. It doesn't exist anymore. So that way of doing social media literally doesn't work. It doesn't exist. Discovery graph is much more intellectual. The discovery graph's goal is to keep someone on the platform as long as possible. And so you post a post, and it doesn't go into a pool of people that see it. It doesn't even see the light of human eyes until it's gone through 5 different algorithms that try and understand what this post is about, and then test this post with strangers that it thinks might be interested in this. Test for dwell time, watch time, how long it's kept someone on. If this post keeps someone on for long, send it to more people, and then that might include your followers. And so what we've gone from is a testing pool of people who are already interested in you, and then it gets released. It's quite simple, with likes and comments. Two, a first, your content has to go through algorithms to understand it, a testing pool of strangers, a testing pool for hidden metrics like watch time and dwell time, and then it gets seen by followers. And so your content now needs to be understood by an AI and be able to be seen by strangers. And so in the new world, AI is deciding who should see your content, how it's placed, and then how it's distributed. Whereas before, there was a huge amount of onus onto your current followers, which completely fundamentally rewrites and changes the whole system of social media. Less than 1% of the entire social media industry understand this. Agencies don't know, creators don't know, brands don't know, but it affects 100% of accounts. And we're going to get into why nobody knows. Firstly, the commercial model of companies is interesting because you want, like, everyone who works in social wants people to post more because it makes them more money. And so there's no financial incentive to help people understand the changes. Secondly, they really don't fucking know. Like, I've been in social for a long time. I was talking to the head of growth for one of the UK's leading growth companies at the moment, and she had no clue. But it affects 100% of accounts. We'll just take that a little bit further and say that according to a recent Gartner marketing report, 90% of businesses worldwide rely on social media to drive direct growth. Of that, 78% rely on it to drive direct revenue, which means that we have 70.2% of the world's global economy reliant upon these marketing distribution systems, and it's completely changed. It's fucked up, right? Anyway. They've changed them because they want to keep people, they want three things. These social media platforms want three things. They make money in two ways. First, by data farming, and second, by advertisement spend. They want in order to increase those two pools of money, they need to increase time spent on that platform, increase advertiser performance, and own end-to-end attribution. So we go through these one by one, because this is going to really help you to understand why everything's changed and what you need to do. Firstly, they need to increase time spent on the app. Let's say if you log onto social media and you averagely spend about 10 minutes every time you're logged on, if they can keep you on the platform for 5 more minutes, they can farm 15% of 15 minutes of data rather than 10. And they can, let's say they place one advert every minute. They do more than that, but let's just say, instead of 10 ads, they can then charge for 15 ads. And so the longer you are on the platform scrolling, the more money they make. And that's the biggest driver to them changing the algorithms, because they truly can make more money the longer you spend on the platforms. The second thing is to increase advertiser performance. If they can make sure that if someone spends money on paid ads on Meta, on LinkedIn, on YouTube or whatever, if that advert works well, they will spend more money. And so they need to increase the performance of those adverts so that people will spend more money. And they can increase advertiser performance by placing ads in the right way at the right time to the right people, an even more optimized level. The third thing that they want is to own end-to-end attribution. So this one hasn't completely rolled out. The suggestion is that end-to-end attribution will be completed rollout by the end of 2026. But this is when there's a disconnect right now. If someone places an ad on social media, you can't truly link up a sale to that ad. And so what they want to do is own that attribution. They want to say this ad created this sale. And the only way to do that is to do it in platform and to be in charge of every single thing. And so this is where things like Andromeda come into play, which you'll see over the course of this year, where you put your card detail in at the beginning, you set your budget, social media decides the audience, social media does the creative, social media places the ad, and then social media tracks the sales and attributes it back to that. If they can own that, they can categorically say, your £50 made £500. So spend £500 and you'll get £5,000. And they can absolutely say that without a doubt. So people will spend more money on advertisement. Um, this is an extract from the 29th of October 2025 Meta Investor Results Conference call. These are fascinating. They're very hard to find. They're supposed to be public, but they're basically only on the dark web. But this one confirms everything that I'm saying. I come with receipts. I'm not someone that's going to sit here and give you like the guru hot take on stuff. Like, no, this is categorically what is happening. So there's a few bits that I've pointed out here. So this is where they've announced that they've completed the rollout of these systems. So across Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, our AI recommendation systems are delivering higher quality and more relevant content, led to 5% more time spent on Facebook in Q3, 10% on Threads, and Instagram's up more than 30% last year, which means that this is them saying these AI algorithms have kept people on the platform for longer. They've increased time spent, which has given them an annual run rate of over 50 billion. Firstly, like, just side note, that's truly fucked up that these algorithms are so good at keeping people on the platform by placing the right content to the right people at the right time that they've led to 5% more time on Facebook and 10% on Threads and 30% over a year globally, more time. Okay, we'll just go on to say that this is them saying, you know, this truly is a new generation of social media. So the first was when all content was for friends and family. Second was when we added creator content. And now we're moving into another huge corpus of content on the top and recommendation systems that understand all of this content more deeply and can show you the right content to help you achieve your goals are going to be increasingly valuable. So this is them saying this is a new generation of social media and we're not slowing down. Like, this is only going to get ramped up because it's working so well for them. They go on to say the ads business continues to perform very well, largely due to improvements in our AI ranking systems. So this one's particularly interesting for people in growth marketing or people that work in paid ads, because this marries up ads business on social media was completely separate to organic social media. This is them saying, especially when they go on to say, we're working on combining these AI systems into a single unified system. This is them saying the ads business now relies on the organic data and it's going to get increasing intelligence. And they talk about they've started rolling out some of their completely end-to-end AI-powered ad tools. This just confirms everything that I've just been telling you. Okay, these AI algorithms are active. They've been rolled out. The rollout is completed. They are doing their job of keeping people on the platform for longer, increasing advertiser performance, and working on end-to-end attribution. And they're only going to get more and more and more valuable for these companies, which means they're going to roll out, like, they're going to become more and more and more effective. Yes, Nikki. So I'm totally experiencing this and having set alarms when scrolling to remember to get off. Yes, we're going to get into it because I obviously find it so fascinating. But now that you can see that this truly is the moment to wake up to AI-led growth, because it affects every single one of us. It affects us in two ways. Remember, there's two personas we're talking about here. The first is someone that creates content on the platform and posts, all of us watching here, businesses. The second is someone who scrolls. And this affects both massively. The people that scroll have no idea, and they never will have an idea. The people that create content have no idea, but they will have an idea, but it will take them about 3 years at minimum to catch up with what's going on. I truly am the first person that's coming here to tell you that this is what's happening and this is why, because I am financially incentivized to do so. Don't think that I'm sitting here telling you out of the goodness and kindness of my heart. If I can crack this first, which I have done, and I can get as many people understanding it, that means as many people sign up to Clue Labs, which means I can optimize the shit out of everything for everyone. My company really, really wins here. So there is a reason why I'm telling you and no one else is telling you. And let's just, unblinkered, this is what's going on. Also, I have the really unique opportunity now with the data and the structure of the technology that we're building to be able to see the algorithm at work. Um, not see it at work, but I can see the symptoms of the algorithm at work and therefore deduce the system based upon what I've been told and what I've read about the system. But if it's such a huge fundamental change, right? And I'm the only one telling you about it. And it affects 100% of accounts, and it by proxy affects 70.2% of the global economy. And it affects every single person who is scrolling, which has a huge societal impact. Why have they done it in silence? Why have they not told anyone? Why aren't they communicating it? So, this is an extract from the Meta Investor Results Conference call in Q4 2022. So, remember, if we go back in time, all of this was in response to TikTok's For You page that came out in 2021. Now, in 2022, Meta said, this is the same for all of them. I know I'm being meta focused, but they said to their investors, we're going to do this thing. The TikTok For You page keeps people on the platform for as long as possible. So we are going to roll out our own version. And it's going to be amazing. We're going to make loads and loads of money. We're also going to combine systems. We're going to, change our whole development architecture, which is a huge job, a huge cost, which is why it has taken them 3 years to do so. They said this to their investors who were like, great, this is going to make us so much money, totally up for this. JP Morgan, I'm just going to mute. JP Morgan came out and said, fantastic, but in order to attract and educate content, is there a cost structure attributed to attracting and educating content creators? It's very corporate lingo, but in terms of these big companies, a content creator is someone that makes content. It's not like we think about it as like the influencers and like people who do it full time. To a platform, a content creator is anybody that makes content on the platform. So businesses as well. We are all content creators. So JP Morgan's like, fantastic, it's going to make us loads of money, but surely with such a big change, you're going to have to put some money towards educating and attracting people to the way in which you're changing things. Their response, in terms of efforts to attract content creators and specifically as it relates to the overall cost structure, we don't anticipate that it's going to have a meaningful impact to the cost structure. And obviously, it's factored into our expense guidance. This is Meta telling investors that attracting content creators and educating them will cost them nothing. And in fact, it's just quick expenses. The reason being that they are not planning to give creators meaningful tools, analytics, or strategic visibility, because anything that risks creators gaming the system and understanding how it works would do quite a few things. Reduce the accuracy of their AI, reduce the efficiency of their ad optimization, reduce their ability to control discovery, reduce the moat around the machine learning systems. And we're going to get into this, but Meta is effectively saying creator guidance is cheap because we are not actually giving them the real knobs and dials. We'll keep them inspired and encouraged and posting, but not informed. Because if it had strategic value, if telling us gave them strategic value, it would be expensive. They would have to spend money on educating and attracting. But they're telling their Wall Street that it has no cost impact. Why? Because they're not planning on building tools that tell creators what's happening. That means that everything you get out of these platforms, in terms of your insights, in terms of the, Adobe, like Meta Conference, like all these cool, like creators, all of like the feature updates, or even all the stuff that comes out of Adam Mosseri's mouth when he does an Instagram video is PR. Is not product. Because if it was an actual technical product, it would cost money. They will never, ever, ever reveal how the actual system works. Because if you understood how it worked, you could manipulate it. And they don't want to risk that, so they keep you blind. They are financially incentivized. Remember, these are usage-based platforms. They want you to create more, create more, create more, and spend more on ads. If people are guessing, people post more because that's all we know. If people are confused, they're more likely to pay for reach. If people are lacking clarity, they're more likely to increase their reliance upon end-to-end attribution systems, and that is their commercial model. So you will for sure not learn about this from them. And the only reason I have been able to is because I understand technology, but also I'm the kind of person that reads, goes deep into the technical structure. And actually this came because I knew that I was working on something that was different, and I know because of the data that was coming out of it that something was happening. And I saw a small press article, industry news article, really talk about Andromeda, and I was like, "What the fuck is Andromeda?" So I went and looked at what Andromeda is, and then I was like, "But how does Andromeda work?" So then I went into the developer documentation and the API documentation. Then I went deeper, and I was like, "Wait, what is content understanding? What is multimodal reasoning?" We'll get into these. And then I got into those, and then I got into those, and then I eventually landed on these investor reports, and I was like, "Oh, oh, holy fuck. Okay. Yeah. Okay." Um, so we need to understand that social media is no longer the playground it used to be. It is a machine learning battlefield. We are in the dawn of a new era. AI is deciding what gets seen and what gets buried. The rules have completely changed. Not overnight, but slowly, quietly, but completely. If they changed overnight, by the way, if they've managed to roll out quick change, it gives everyone whiplash. And so people wouldn't adopt it. You need to roll out these changes really slowly so people adopt them slowly. So the question now is then, are you posting? Before, the question is, are you posting? Because friends and family, associates, followers would see your post. So every time you posted, you had a chance of coming up in their feed. Therefore, you had a chance of getting likes. Therefore, you had a chance of having discovery. The question now is, you should be posting, but are you teaching the AI who you are when you post? Because even if you post regularly, but you don't teach the AI who you are, it literally won't even get seen. You will genuinely become invisible. Every reel, post, story, carousel is a part of your brand's training data. The AI is learning who engages, how they react, how long they stay, and what they do next. So you are not entertaining people anymore. You are educating a machine on whether or not you're worth pushing. This means your organic output is the most powerful long-term investment you can have right now. So we're going to move into our next section. After all of that, we have three options. And we'll just take a pause because that's a lot of information, and I'm going to continue to give you a lot of information. And we're going to move into some technical information about what these algorithms are, how they work, how they keep people on the app, what they read in your content, and how they choose to put that content out there. But it's a fundamental, huge change. And at this point, a lot of people suddenly think, fuck this, because social media is the worst. And it really is. I freaking hate social media. And social media industry, in fact, is one of the most the most fatigued professional industries globally. 68% chance more likely to get burnout if you work in social media than you are in any other profession. So we could boycott. We could just say, do you know what? Fuck this. I'm never posting again. I'll go and grow my business in another way. And that's fine. And that's very valid. But the way that the world is set up now means that you cannot not post on social media. You could grow an email list, but where does that email list come from? Social media. You could go and try and speak on stage, but where are the people who are booking you going to get their validation that you're worth putting on stage from? Your follower account on social media, probably. You could go and get published, but these days, publishers only care about people who have got good follower accounts because that means that they might get more sales on their book. You could go, the only other way I can see it is like local network, back to basics style business, and that's fine. But at some point, you will limit the market that you want to operate in. So we could boycott, but actually, we can't anymore. Like we've moved too far. The horse is out of the gate. We could continue to post blindly. So at this point, I am going to take you into some technical differences and how you can change things. But you could say, great, Inga, fantastic, too much, I can't be bothered right now. And you could continue to just post what you like and post when you like and post what you think and feel. That's totally fine. I understand. Although you do have a significant risk with the new algorithms of actually completely, pardon me, making your account invisible over the next year. Um, if your content is too chaotic, it's too vague, it's sorry, too chaotic, too vague, algorithms can't understand it. They won't place it. These algorithms are based on efficiency. And so over time, as they get more and more efficient, they genuinely just will not come to use your content at all. And so if you continue to post blindly, you have a huge risk of it affecting your account and you completely becoming invisible. Or we could learn what to do next, and that's what I'm going to take you through next. And what I'm going to take you through next is complex, it's in depth. There's a lot of information, which is why I do this Friday session every Friday at 11, so that you can come back, you can readjust, you can listen to different bits at different times, focus on different things at different times. It's why I've got lots of blogs on my website. It's why I have opened up the SDO Academy, which is a small £50 access just to get into it, but for life, to access lots of more and more in-depth videos where you can work through them. But it's also why I have Clue Labs. You can learn what to do next, or you could just say, screw this, I'll just use Clue Labs, because Clue Labs does everything that I'm going to teach you, and just literally tells you what to post next. So you don't even have to think about what's happening. You can literally just follow what Clue Labs says blindly and know that you will be on the right track because I'm doing all the hard work for you and building and coding software that does the hard work for you. And we'll just take a pause just to let it sink in. 78% of people that use social media to drive growth rely on it for direct revenue globally. Isn't this mad? Isn't it fucking crazy? Anyway, we're going to learn what to do next. So now we're going to move into the what and the why of the algorithms. Right. This is the new architecture. So this isn't just an update. It's a full AI-driven rewire. You don't need to remember the technical names. You really don't have to. It depends on what your motivations are for coming to this session today. If your motivation is to get a kind of overview understanding and a few key takeaways, you really don't need to understand the technical names. If you really, really find this fascinating and you want to dig into it in the same way that I find it fascinating, take on board the technical names. If you work in marketing, you for sure need to understand this because this is the shift from into SEO. So like Google. So Google before the early 2000s, you knew that if you could get to Google page one, your business would grow, right? And so you would spend time trying to figure out who was searching for you, how they were searching, what keywords they were searching for you, and you would do loads of hacks to try and make sure you were Google page one. So I used to build build websites when I was that age because, like I said, my whole family are computer programmers. I was born in 1989, which means that by the time I was 10, I was building websites at home. And I used to try and game it, and I would write on the back of my website in white ink, because the background was white, all of the search terms that I thought I would come up for, and then see if it worked. And it did, like it was gaming, it was keyword stuffing, it was chaotic. You do loads of like crazy stuff on your website to try and get to Google page one because you knew that Google page one would give you money. In 1997, there was a company called Urchin Software Limited. They were set up because of this chaoticness. They were a plugin into your website where it would track how you were coming up, what terms you were coming up, and like what pages people were landing on. In 2005, Google was so like the performance of the results was so crap that Google knew that they needed to actually start to help people. And so in 2005, they acquired Software Urchin Limited, rebranded it, re-rolled it out in 2007, and it's now called Google Analytics, which is responsible for 70% of the world's search. It took Google 8 years to respond to the change that they made to roll out something called Google Analytics. Okay. And so if you work in marketing, and then after Google Analytics came, then came the SEO, search engine optimization discipline. And we all recognize in marketing, in if you've got a business, that SEO is a marketing discipline. You generally hire someone in for them. They're probably more analytical. And SEO is a growth driver. Now, in social media, if you work in social media, if you work in marketing, we are at the same inflection point. We don't have the tool yet. I personally believe the tool is Clue Labs that will turn into the Google Analytics. But we don't have the tools. But in the next 3, 5, 10 years, the emergence of SDO, social discovery optimization, just like SEO, search engine optimization, will become a thing. And so if you as a marketer understand these technical names, understand how they work right now, you are early in the game. And if you're here as a business owner, hats off to you because you're frigging nailing it. You're on it. So there are 7 algorithms, 5 of which work on organic data, 2 of which work on paid data. So the first one's called the Discovery Engine, which is the main one, which is the big daddy, which goes and finds relevant content. We're going to get into these, so I'll swift through them. The next one, and like I said, there's 2 personas, right? So the Discovery Engine goes out and finds content from persona 1, the person that's posted. User embeddings works on people that scroll, and that maps user behavior. So it really understands an account. This is why it keeps you addicted. The user embeddings is the problem. It keeps you on, and it understands everything about an account. The content understanding then after the is the other side. After the Discover Engine has gone and found content understanding is the algorithm that tries to figure out tiny nuances in that piece of content to really truly understand what is this video about. The multimodal ranking then scores that quality, that content quality, and gives it a likelihood of whether or not it's going to keep people on the platform or not. And then it puts it into the interest learner, which is a algorithm that sits with the people that scroll, that places the next piece of content. So every time you scroll, a piece of content has to get placed in the scroll, right? The interest learner is responsible for putting that piece of content there. The interest learner is the one that does the testing. Remember I said it goes out to a pool of strangers, tests whether or not they read and they stay on it, slow down on it. And then if test successful, distribute to more people, that's the interest learner. We're going to get into these, so don't worry. You then have Advantage Plus and Andromeda, which are there to optimize ad performance. Now, these are meta first names. Well, and Advantage Plus and Andromeda. Discovery Engine, user embeddings, content understanding, and multimodal ranking, and interest learner are all generic algorithm terms. You'll find them across all algorithms. You'll also find multimodal ranking in particular is in Netflix, it's in Spotify. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Like I said, we are living through the same shift SEO saw in 1997, but only a few people saw it coming. The brands who learn to train the algorithm will dominate the next decade. You don't need to post more. You need to post smarter and understand that every piece of content is either compounding your growth or confusing the algorithm. So please think about it now like blogging. We all know, because we've all been muscle memoried into it, that when you post a blog, it's going to sit with a robot. And hopefully it gets to Google page 1 because people have read it. So the way that we write blogs, the way that we write copy on our website, we understand that it's stranger first and it goes through computers and robots. So the way that we communicate and create content on our websites is so vastly different to the way we do it on social. Because on social, we've been trained that it goes out to some of our followers, it goes out to some of our peers. We need likes and comments. We need validation from our community with every post. And then we'll get distribution. We haven't thought about it for strangers and we haven't thought about it for robots and algorithms. So the way that we create content is so different. So we need to now think more like we're creating content for our website or for blogging. It's going to feel boring. I'll tell you that. It's not as creative as it used to be. Before, let's say before on social with the social graph, because you followers saw you, peers saw you, that was your communication timeline. You people would come on journeys with you. They would be interested in different things that you're doing. You could be nuanced. You could flip from subject to subject, and there would be some kind of give and take with that because they understood you as a person, and the reaction would be person. Now it's blogging. It's more boring. It's the same thing over and over again, and it's repetitive. Um, this is the moment social media becomes SEO. In the early 2000s, websites needed to understand ranking. In 2024, brands must understand relevance. Relevance is a very similar way of thinking about website ranking. Your account on social media has a relevance score. You don't know what that is. They won't release what that is. I don't know what that is. But your relevance score determines the likelihood of your content being used by the algorithms. Remember, it's like posting into the post, like posting into an art gallery. Are they going to put it up on the walls or not? Um, the your relevance score will determine whether or not your post gets seen by people. This is their efficiency systems. So if your relevance score is good, that means that your content tends to keep people on the platform for longer. Your content tends to resonate emotionally. Your content is very clear. Your content is very predictable. And so it's less risky to use your content for distribution moving forwards. So your relevance score is high. If your content has varied emotions, if it's not quite clear what it is, if it changes, if you post erratically, you're quite risky. You have the data systems are going to have to use more energy to understand each piece of content per piece of content. And so the relevance score on your account is lower. The lower your relevance score over time, the less likely these systems are to use your content at all because it just simply uses too much power to be able to use your piece of content. And they can't guarantee it's going to keep someone on the platform, therefore it's too risky, therefore they won't use it. So you have a relevance score, which means that as we move forwards in social media this year, every post you create next has to be as good or better than the previous post. Otherwise, it will pull your relevance score down. The reason why this is different to ranking on websites is because if you post a blog on a website and people read it, then you're likely to move up in a Google ranking. Um, if you post a blog on a website and nobody reads it, you stay static. You might move down because other people have posted better blogs and they've kind of come above you and pushed you down. But if you post a blog that doesn't get read, nothing happens. It just stays there. Your website stays where it is. If you post a post on social media where no one stays on it, your relevance score goes down. Does it not comparable to other people's, which means that every post you post is actually truly important now, which is again why I have built Clue Labs, because if you continue to guess, that next post isn't as good or better than the same post before in terms of semantic, we're going to get into these semantic clarity, emotional resonance, behavior prediction, then a topic tone, then it's unreadable, which means it's risky for the algorithms for distribution and your relevance score will go down. The longer you guess, the higher chance you have of ruining your accounts. And I say that absolutely with love and from the place of someone who freaking loves being creative and guessing on my social media. And I just have to sit on my hands and not do it anymore. Um, but let's move through these algorithms, and I'm just going to direct you to a blog that I have on this because I think it's helpful to have the other bits. as well. And of course, like I said, we've only got a certain amount of time. Oh, my website's being slow today. Um, and so we're going to go through, well, yeah, I'll quickly roll you through how these things work and then the key things that you need to focus on. Uh, there we go. Sorry. So where is Zoom? Um, right. So on the website, we've got this section that's called resources, and under here there are blogs that I'm adding to that will help you move through and understand it on a much deeper level. I think it's this one. No, it's not that one. Um, yeah, here we go. So this is how the algorithm systems work. It's in here. I'm going to be referencing this, but for the purposes of this thing, I'm going to show you this one. Actually, I'll be sharing both of the screens. It does feel a little bit sad, but you can get creative as long as it's within boundaries. So, hopefully, yeah, you could for sure get more creative. You just can't get creative and go wild with it. It's just keeping it within boundaries. So the first thing that you have is the discovery engine. So the discovery engine relies on something that's called probability modeling. The role of the discovery engine is which piece of content will keep you on the app the longest. So it goes around and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of content that get uploaded every millisecond on social media. So the discovery engine is going around and sort of picking bits that it likes, basically. It's then working with the user embeddings. So the user embeddings is really, really interesting. A user embeddings is on the user side of the equation. This is where it looks at your account. So think of yourself as a scroller, right? So it's looking at your account and it's looking at what you do. It's not looking at like your profile, like what you've written about yourself or the pictures that you have or who you're following. It's looking at your behavior on the platform and your micro preferences and emotional patterns. It's really scarily messed up. The user embeddings works on an 84-day context window. All of these tend to. So a context window means that it stores and uses your data over 84 days. And that data set moves. So the 85th day gets deleted. The 85th day gets deleted every new day that it moves. And so it's really important to understand for you because your 84-day window of what you've done tells the algorithms what you are about. Within that 84-day window, they have a 72-hour behavior window, which they can't analyze 84 days in depth. So they analyze 72 hours in depth to get a deep understanding and then kind of place their executive summary and their results into the 84-day context window. So every 72 hours, in a rolling 72 hours, you are being analyzed in depth. You as someone that creates content and you as a user. We're going to focus on the user, someone who scrolls. Every 72 hours is tracking with your scroll what kind of content you respond to, the pace that you're scrolling through the app, your emotional appetites at different times of the day, the audio energy you prefer, the way you behave when you're tired or first thing in the morning or around lunchtime, how you engage in private, so what you save, what you rewatch, what you share, what you visit, the topics that you tend to drift away and from, the formats that you abandon really, really quickly, your average attention window, and your tolerance for slow or fast content. And that is updating constantly. It doesn't care who you follow, these user embeddings. It's interested in your behavior. And that interprets your behavior far more accurately than you could ever imagine. And it's really very scary. But the discovery engine is finding content. The user embeddings is creating a behavioral fingerprint profile of every single person that's on social media. You then move into content understanding. So it's sitting here creating its idea of what this user is interested in and the behavior of this user. The discovery engine has found some content that it wants to use. It then goes into, in the content side, content understanding. A content understanding's job is to ultimately match a piece of content with a user. In order to do that, they need to have extraordinary precision around what this piece of content is about. And so the content understanding consumes a post on 4 different layers. The first is the obvious, which is the visual. So it's looking at your video or your picture or your graphic. It's not just looking at it though, it is looking at it in huge amounts of depth. It's detecting objects, environments, lighting, micro expressions in the face, motion, scene composition, color palettes, spatial cues, dominant themes, and kind of visual signatures. It's looking hugely in depth into the visual layer. Try and understand, like a human, what is this video? And it's really angled towards the micro expressions, the things that make a human respond, rather than a robot. The next layer that it analyzes on that piece of content is the audio layer. It's looking at your tone, your pace, the emotional weight of your voice, any background music and music intensity, speech patterns, and any other background noise. That gives it context about what this is, kind of more context on the emotional layer, which we'll get into, and then trying to every time it's trying to match this with a user. So match the visual layer, match the audio layer. Then it goes into the textual layer. So it's reading on-screen text, captions, voice transcripts, and keywords, but not in the same way that a keyword engine does on Google. It's trying to interpret sentiment, intent, coherence, and clarity. So it's looking at your topic, the keywords that it might associate with that topic, but it's also looking at stuff like how you place the punctuation and how that might change the emotional tone of what you've written or what you're saying. And it's going really seriously in depth into the textual layer. And then the content understanding looks at, that's the content understanding. And then it's the multimodal ranking that then tries to place that piece of content into a holistic understanding. So just to reiterate, we've gone through discovery engine that finds the piece of content. While it's doing that, every person on the platform is having a user embeddings algorithm look at their behavior. There's then every piece of content that comes through has a content understanding where it looks at the visual layer, the audio layer, textual layer. And then it's going through multimodal ranking, which will place that piece of content over your history. So it's looking at your past. This is an over 84-day window of someone that keeps posting content. Us, everyone who's watching this call. It's looking at over 84 days, your past posts, your niche, your message consistency, your brand signals, your patterns, your keywords, and the behavioral reactions that you tend to trigger. And all of this is becoming an embedding that represents the meaning, tone, purpose, and emotional signature of that post. This is why things like, this is how it builds your relevance profile. But it's trying to say, how does this post fit into this account's history? Is this post better or worse than the previous post? Is this post about the same kind of thing as the previous post? Does it react the same kind of emotion as the previous post? But it's also looking at Is this post a copy and paste of something that they've done before? If it is, it's not novel enough, so we won't use it, which is why really minute A/B testing of content doesn't work anymore. It's looking at, does this post niche hop? If it goes off kilter of stuff that's happened in the past 84 days, it doesn't bother. It's like, no, 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 no. It's too crazy. It's looking at, does is this post has this person posted within every 72 hours? Because remember, it's coming back every 72 hours to find a post. If you're not consistent every 72 hours, it's okay if maybe you do it like twice a week, 3 times a week. That's fine. Like it will pick up the understanding of that. But if you're regularly randomly posting and it can't tell which 72-hour block of window that post might come in, it's gonna have to keep coming back. It won't. It's too inefficient. Any and then it's always like, does this post match the tone, the topic, the semantic clarity of the previous stuff? Because it's trying to, this is where the boringness repetition comes in. If it doesn't, it's too risky to distribute because it doesn't understand how or where to place your content because of the previous understanding it has. So it just won't do it. Any inconsistency tells the machine, I don't know who or what this is, and it's too risky for distribution. If the platform doesn't understand it, at this point, the multimodal ranking will discard your post. You will always get a couple of views, a little, maybe 200 views, right? Because it's like drugs. If you got no views, you wouldn't post on social media. And so you'd go away and be disheartened. So you'll always get a little bit. What I'm talking about here is beyond the little bit, which we all need to be able to grow our businesses. At this point, it like literally your post could never be seen by the light of human eyes. So it's really important to understand that these are beginning bits of the way that you construct your post are really, really important to get past like gate one. It then goes after multimodal ranking, it goes into a similarity match, which works with the user embeddings and works further on with the interest layer, which is when both the piece of content, it has content and it has users interested in this type of content, and it will similarity match. That's how you get the next piece of content in your feed, right? The similarity match is looking at the probability of attention, the probability of completion, the probability of saving, the probability of rewatching, the probability of sharing, probability of following, the probability of clicking, the probability of meaningful engagement. And that's how it's placing that piece. If the content won't align with someone, it won't get placed in them, which is why we start to see really, really super niche topics that are specifically just for us. This always happens at this time of day. The light comes through the window. I can't see anything. Which is why you get really, really niche into niche like things because you're constantly being reinforced. And it then goes into what's called the interest learner. So the interest learner is the most futuristic layer. The interest learner is the testing ground that we talked on. So the similarity match will place it with those strangers. The interest learner is the mathematical machine learning model that monitors the testing over time and identifies micro shifts and tries to be the best guess. If its guess doesn't work, so if we've done all of this stuff, it's understood your post, it's placed it with people, it's predicted you might get this from this kind of people. If the test doesn't work, like if it's wrong, or if let's say the content understanding thought that this was a video about dogs, but actually it was a video about accountants, and it gets placed with people who are interested in dogs, and that accountant, they don't watch their thing because they're more dog people. The interest line has done a bad job, and so will really, really, really not come to find your content again. So as much as because it's responsible for the mathematical prediction of like the better it can do at that job, the better it keeps people on the platform, the better all this works, the longer we stay on the platform. So the interest learner is like a futuristic research tester that then feeds back into all of those before to say, test was good, do more, or test was bad, do less, or test was this, change it slightly. And then you go into the paid layer. So this is all on organic, and it goes through this. We're going to take 3 key points away from this, so don't worry. But it's gone into this and it goes through this before your content sees the light of day. Before, you could post anything and it would at least go and see some followers, 1 to 2%. And then if they liked it or commented on it, it would send it to more people, right? This is why we need to just get repetitive, double down on not consistency in quantity of posts, but consistency in tone, topic, emotion, visual style, audio style, textual style, over and over again, because we're teaching the algorithm over 84 days. After 84 days, remember, it moves. You can start to introduce different things, I would say. Within 84 days, it's so, right now, because this is the first time you're understanding this, look over your previous 84 days. That is what the algorithm thinks you are, thinks you do, thinks you're about. If that is not what your business does or how you want to attract people or the kind of people that you are attracting, any content you create beyond this will be wrong. It will not grow your business. It will be a complete waste of time. And so you need to look at the 84 days and change it. You can't change it. You have to do each day, each day, each day, which means you need to do the next 3 months of being consistent in the things we're going to talk about. Don't worry, I've got you. And not guess. I think this is just driving home the point. It's like websites, it's like blogging. It needs to be your brand, your business. Okay. And then we go into the paid layer. So if you do any ads or if you plan to do any ads in the future, the biggest profound change, and one that nobody's begun to understand, is that the paid and organic are not separate ecosystems anymore. All of that happens in the organic, and that creates an understanding of your account. If you do any paid, firstly, if you boost any posts, the posts that you boost will be based upon the understanding of that post and who reacted to it and who that attracts. So you need to seriously understand what that post was before you put any money behind paid. Or you could end up amplifying to the wrong people with the wrong topic, the wrong tone, just because it got loads of likes. No. But more importantly, with Andromeda, and it links together all of this. And when it places your adverts that you pay for, it uses all of this to place the advert. It's like an amplifier. So it really, really matters that you understand how these work. So we'll go back into the presentation. So what's really happening on a really, really basic level, we've gone into it in really, really loads of depth. We're going to come out, we're going to look at it holistically. The algorithm watches how your audience reacts over time, deeply. It's then building a living relevance profile of your brand, your tone, creative type. Every new piece of content you create is either going to deepen the trust in that or create confusion. The trust is going to dictate who sees your next post, and if you're using paid ads, how much that paid ad is going to cost you. If the post is confusing, it's going to cost you more. And depending on the AI's decision, depends on whether your account is going to grow or it's going to get ignored. The more these algorithms can trust your accounts, the more likely you are to be able to grow. I mapped this out over a 2-year period, which I'm not going to focus on today. I'm just going to go straight into what you need to do. And the signals that will speak to the algorithm the loudest, because there's 3 key things you need to focus on. For the last sort of 13 minutes of this session before we go into the open Q&A. The signals that speak the loudest. So please, please, please think of the algorithm not as a gatekeeper, because it's really not. It's a student. And remember, there are now 5 systems seriously trying to use your content for good, like to keep people on the platform. And so you need to teach these systems, teach them. If that piece of content is good, it could be really, really good, And so, but it needs to understand what it is first. Okay. So the three core things that you need to get seriously clear on for these algorithms, the first is semantic clarity. Semantic clarity is the equivalent of standing up, looking the machine in the eye, and saying, this is who I am, this is what I talk about, this is what my content means. Without that, the machine can't confidently place you in the right clusters. And if it can't place you, it won't distribute you. So I'll get into a story. I think you can see my screen still because this is in the resources on my website if you want to go into it a little bit more. Um, Which one is it? Oh, this one. Um, Semantic clarity is um, imagine you walk into a library, you approach the librarian, you give them a book, but it's got no title, it's got no genre, it's got no category, it's got chapters that are all over the place, a tone that changes every few pages, and a cover that doesn't match what's inside. A librarian would panic. Where does this belong? Who is this for? Is it fiction? Is it non-fiction? Should it be shelved? Business books, romance, psychology, memoirs. This is the experience of the algorithm when content lacks semantic clarity. It's the equivalent of saying, this is who I am, this is what I talk about, this is what my content means, and being super, super repetitive in it. It's looking at things like your topic, your subtopic, the purpose of the post, and like I said, this is all in the resources on my website, so please go and read it. Topic, subtopic, purpose of the post, the format. Doesn't mean you had to do the same format every time, but the expectation of what that format will be. The tone, the emotion, the niche, the kind of topic family, the communicative intent, and the narrative structure. So, in normal layman's terms, if you talk about personal branding one day, body confidence the next, entrepreneurship the next, then mental health, then parenting, then fashion, the embedding becomes a blur. The semantic clarity is all over the place, and the machine is forced to guess. If the machine has to guess, it won't use your content. Or worse, even worse, it will use your content, but it will place it in the wrong place. I'll give you a really, really interesting thing that we noticed in Clue Labs with version 1. So we had a user who signed up to Clue Labs, and she was an accountant. They were an accounting firm. And in the origins of Clue Labs, the goal was growth at all costs. Growth, 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 growth. And so it would suggest the next post to you based upon growth, 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 growth. And there were no boundaries in what it would suggest. And so she one day had her cat in a video, or the cat was in her stories. And suddenly, Clue Labs, she got loads and loads of reach and loads of interest on that cat. The video that had the cat, the video was actually about something to do with accounting, right? But it had the cat in it, and it went and did really, really well. It got loads and loads of likes, got loads and loads of comments, and she got followers from it. And so Clue Labs started to suggest cat content, like post about a cat, post about this about your cat, include your cat in the video, because it had picked up that the algorithm, the people that had interacted with that video were more interested in the cat than they were in the accountant details. And so the algorithm then kept continually placing her content for people that like cats, not people that were interested in accountants. This is so much worse than your content not even getting placed in the first place, because you'll feel like the content's working, you'll continue down this path, and before you know it, you have 84 days worth of content that's being put in front of the wrong people. If you just want to grow your account, fine. But actually, we're all businesses here. We all have clear people that we want to drive our content towards, and clear people that we want to like buy from us. So it's actually really, you have to start again, basically, with an account like that. So semantic clarity isn't about niching down. It's just about sitting within categories. And so a bit like your website, like, this is the topic category. You can have different topics within that category. Like mine, semantic clarity is algorithm, social media algorithms, tech founder, content points of view, but they're all in the same kind of field. So, but I wouldn't suddenly talk about like holidays I've been on or like the money that I make or the clothes that I wear because it's just too much of a whiplash. So semantic clarity is really key, and this is very much like coming up with content for your blog, which does feel boring and repetitive, but you can get creative around the way that you communicate that for sure. The next one is called emotional response, and this is really, really, really important. The algorithm does not promote the best content. It promotes the content with the best emotional match. The algorithm, and this has huge impacts for society, the algorithm will promote a piece of content that is more emotionally matched to someone rather than knowledge matched to someone. Because these platforms know that the more emotionally invested someone is, the longer they will stay on the platform. So they know that this bloody sun, sorry. They know that if they can, to take it one step further, they also know that negative emotion keeps people scrolling for longer. And so they have 12 emotional layers that they track for, eight of which are negative, which is why I think we have the problems, what we do, because you're being reinforced with, you're in an echo chamber of emotion, because they know that the echo and emotion keeps you on the platform for longer. So you end up in echo chambers of emotion that reinforce emotion. I mean, it's not good. But from a brand point of view, your emotional resonance has to be the same every time. So if your content doesn't have a consistent emotional signature, we'll get into these because it's quite technical. The algorithm can't match you with the right people, so it doesn't. Again, every time it can't match you, it doesn't bother. Emotional resonance is the most underestimated pillar because it's completely invisible. You'll never, ever, ever get any feedback from Meta or LinkedIn or Google or TikTok about the emotional signature of your profile. You just won't. But they are sensing everything. So if we, again, I'll just refer you back to the blog about this so that you can find the information. We'll use a story. So a woman in Manchester opens Instagram at 10:42 p.m. She's had a long day, she's tired, her brain wants low effort, soothing content, nothing too loud, nothing too demanding, nothing too high energy. In that moment, she's not looking for productivity hacks, business tips, or high intensity reels. She wants a soft landing. What does Instagram show her? Recipes with warm light, night routines with gentle music, calming clips of someone folding laundry or organizing a bathroom drawer. The algorithm didn't know it, it felt it because it read her behavior patterns. Time of day, scrolling speed, the content she tends to linger on at night, her energy level she tends to tolerate in the evenings, her recent late night watch history. But imagine, same woman, same place at 7:15 a.m. Different mood, different energy, different emotional signature. She'll get inspirational voiceovers, quick cuts, morning motivation, business tips, humor, momentum. The algorithm isn't choosing topic because what that person is interested in, what her personality is the same. It's the same at night and it's the same in the morning because she's still the same person. But she has a different emotional signature. And so the content that she gets shown is different. AI doesn't sense emotion or detect it through vibes. It analyzes a lot of in-depth things. So it's analyzing things, and this is how you will convey emotion in your pieces of content. Speech tone, pacing, background audio, micro expressions, color palettes, motion type, scene intensity, language patterns, sentiment, and visual density. And this is why a soft, warm, steady clip will get matched with a tired nighttime scroller, and why high tempo, sharp edit clip gets matched with a morning go-getter. So if your content doesn't have a consistent emotional signature, it won't match you with the right people. Please don't whiplash your emotional signature either. Remember, as much as you might have an ideal client that has different emotional signatures, meet them at one emotional signature. Because if your emotional signature is like this, over the past 84 days, you are volatile in your emotional signature. It can't predict what your next post's emotional signature will be. Therefore, you're risky. Therefore, you won't get distributed. So you do need to just stick with one. Okay. And it's the most important. I have a case study kind of white paper style that I'm going to release on the website soon. And we look into one lady's account on Clue Labs. It's a very healthy account. She gets loads and loads of engagement. It's growing. It's grown 8% over 2 months. Her followers have grown 8% on 2 months, which is literally like unheard of. And she's doing so well, but she posts freaking randomly. Like some weeks she'll post 3 times, some weeks she'll post 6, some weeks she won't post at all. But her emotional signature is so strong that the algorithm doesn't care that she posts randomly. It cares that every single time she posts, every single post reacts, it elicits the same emotion. And so it loves her, prioritizes her. Every time she posts it out there. So it puts it out there. So it's really, really, really important. And the last one is the behavioral prediction. And this is from 2 points of view. So the behavioral prediction is the interest learner, which is trying to foresee what a next move is. So it's not what you liked yesterday, not what you commented on, not who you follow, but it's trying to expect the behavior of a user in the next bit. And so it's also trying to expect the behavior of you. Every time you post, it's trying to expect like, right, they'll post at this time, they'll post about this kind of thing, they'll post about this kind of emotion, and it makes an easy match. And so the behavior prediction doesn't rank content based on what's happened. It's ranking it based on what it thinks will happen next. And it's really hard to understand because it's the most futuristic, but it's trying to foresee a next move. So in terms of a user, it's looking at, if we look at a story, it's a 22-year-old student scrolls TikTok at 4. She's bored. System has noticed she's been scrolling faster than usual. She hasn't watched a video longer than 30 seconds. She's in search mode. Her attention's fragmented. She responds to high energy clips. She needs a pattern interrupt. This is why you've been kept on the platforms for longer. This behavioral prediction knows exactly what post to put into your feed that will pattern interrupt you and keep you on the platform. Prediction corrected, system rewarded. It will continue to feed that similar energy. Behavioral prediction is very technical. It's why it's looking for probabilities, scroll velocity, watch probability, drop off probability, emotional inference, time of day preference. This is the third point that you need to understand, in that every time you guess, you can't guess. So when you post content now, the behavior reaction to that piece of content needs to be kind of the same every time, so that it can use your content to place in user embeddings, in interest graphs, in depth models. And so the behavior embedding, like semantic clarity is so important. Figure out what your semantic clarity is. Emotional resonance is really important. Figure out what your emotional resonance is. Behavioral prediction, you need to, on a manual level, truly understand which of your past posts performed well and which ones didn't. And therefore, whatever you post next should be better or the same as the previous post, so that you can track along the behavior prediction. If you continue to guess, if you make a post that sits within, it's erratic, you can't predict what will come out of it, it sits in the kind of lower post, this if you post and you're like, it didn't really work, and it sits in the lower post section of your account, and you continually do that, and you continually have some that perform really well, some that perform really low. And it's really, really, really hard and they've totally made this unfair, but it's not about likes or comments or stuff that you can see, but you have to go into each individual post, look at the watch time, look at the drop-off rate, look at where you got the likes in a carousel. Is it on the last post? Look at they do have this thing that's called average watch time. if you consistently, when you post, like you're getting above that average watch time and you're getting quite good above average drop off rate, um, that means that post is done better or the same as previous ones. If it's lower and you keep guessing and create things that keep going lower, you'll pull down the averages and you're not predictable, essentially. So the behavioral prediction one isn't something that you can create that's different. It's just understanding that the next thing that you do is being tracked and ranked against what you've previously done. Okay, I'm gonna I've got so much more. Um, but the key thing to note is that this would be the manual flywheel of what to do before I go into the Q&A section. Um, like I said, like if you've been here before, you'll know that sometimes I lean more into one of the topics, sometimes I lean more into another topic. Today I've definitely leaned more into what the algorithms actually do. But a flywheel, for people who don't understand, is where you can focus on one key area and it improves everything else. Um, so there's different variations for different companies. If you are doing social discovery optimization, which is where you are optimizing everything you post on social for the discovery engine, then you need to do these two bits to improve the whole flywheel. The first is training the algorithm. This you need to do over the next 84 days because of the 84-day context window. Your content over the next 84 days needs to train the algorithms. It needs to send the system clear signals of niche, tone, topic, patterns, and creative identity. That will shape the understanding of your account. And to do that over the next 3 months, 84 days, will train the algorithm so completely. If you could train it perfectly, if you could be like, if this robot knew this about me, that would be freaking fantastic. That needs to be done over 84 days and you need to stick to it. If you change in 84 days, you're resetting. So don't do it. That training of the algorithm will help the algorithm validate any patterns because the system will track how people respond, any retention saves, and your content will become easier for the algorithm to clarify. It will get a better understanding and it will validate the patterns around your account. Over time, the platform will amplify you because it understands you. You'll get better feed placement, better discovery, more accurate audience matching, and increased satisfaction. That will then increase your audience and sharpen the audience that you do attract. So people will come and find you, you'll be placed in better places, your account will grow, and more importantly, you'll grow with the right people. You then, after 84 days, move into strategic refinement and over the 84 days, because it's a moving window, to be fair, which is where you analyze what themes resonated, where you drifted, what formats worked, what audience came out of it. And then you improve your content, you move back into training the algorithm, which then moves into validation, which then moves into amplification, which then moves into expansion. And this is the flywheel. And I know it sounds like a lot of work over the next year, because this is the first year of the full discovery-led AI algorithms. If you do this, you will, for sure, the end of the year, be the most healthiest account and be far ahead of anyone than you ever have been before. And actually, this definitely works better with smaller accounts. If you can't be freaking bothered, you use Clue Labs in the most simplest form, because Clue Labs will refine constantly, daily, refine you. I just need, there we go. Refine you constantly, will daily refine you because we're tracking all the stuff that you should be tracking, but you absolutely cannot. Pull in all the data, we track it, we analyze it, we tell you exactly what to post next to train the algorithm, to get the validation, to get the amplification, and it moves around and around. And does it in 5 minutes rather than you sitting there doing it over time. So this is what you need to understand. I'll move into the Q&A bit, but this is what you need to understand, and this is what you need to apply to your account. You need to really think about the next time that you're posting. And this is for sure, definitely, if you sign up to Clue Labs, I'll be happy. Like I said right at the beginning, this is my commercial model. This is what I'm working towards. Ultimately, my big goal, I'll be in a lift with Mark Zuckerberg one day. I'll look him in the eye. Be like, I'm the reason your ad spend is down because I friggin' helped everyone get there. So that's my reason and goal for doing this because I think it's gone on. This is so wrong. Um, so ultimately, if you sign up to Clue Labs, that would be great, and I can really seriously help you. But I hope that I've given enough information and directed you into the right places to if you can't sign up to Clue Labs or you don't want to for any particular reason, there's plenty resources, there's plenty things that can help you, and you can uh it will be like taking the red pill in the Matrix. Next time you see a piece of content on social, you'll be like, oh my God, they're wrong. But if you want to go into it in more depth, I'll just the move you up my face. The Academy is now looking beautiful. So this is more for people who need to or who really want to go seriously in depth. I've touched the surface of the technical layer with training videos. So it's a £50 access because listen, it takes me a long time to do all the research, to do all the analysis, to pull together even the videos and the content. So the £50 is like a payment for all that effort and work, but it's a lifetime access. And then inside, I think it will let me know. We're adding slowly, we've got, it's typical kind of videos for you to work through that go more in depth. So if you, again, like I said, just the option of if Clue Labs isn't for you or if you can't do it right now, there are free options. There's a 50 quid option. And I'm here every Friday at 11. So, has anyone got any questions? This is also the time for the people who use Clue Labs. This is your open half an hour to jump in, ask me, chat questions. You can write them, you unmute yourself. It's up to you. Or there might be no questions.
Hi, Inge.
Hello.
Hiya. Yeah, I still struggle with social media, and I'm not using my Clue Labs enough at all.
Mhm.
I just didn't get time, but I'm trying to. Every month I go, right, I'm going to get time this month, and I'm going to get time, and it never happens. But
Yeah.
this have. So I've got a launch coming up,
Mhm.
and so I will be changing my messaging after the launch. So does that reset that? Um,
What's the launch and what's the change?
so the launch is on sleep, holistic sleep, and then I've got a female membership starting as well.
Hmm.
So it's kind of what I do.
Does the
Uh,
emotional signature of what they are change? Of the outcome?
no, probably not, because it's all
Okay.
about well-being.
Yeah. Um, I think yeah, that it won't restart it. The
Okay.
emotional layer is truly the most important.
Yeah.
Um, and so if the emotion, which I know what you do, Karen, so this is why it's easier for me to
Yeah.
respond because
Yeah.
yeah, um, I think when you attract people in, the emotion of which you attract them in is the same. Doesn't matter whether they're going to buy the membership, buy the course, buy some one-to-one stuff, buy any product. The emotion which they turn up at the door is the same. It's just that the topic might change slightly depending on what you're
Yeah.
offering. So as long as you're keeping that tone,
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I think you'll be fine. And I do know your account, and I do know that you're unable to kind of keep up with it as much
Yeah.
as you can. But I would still say that it's very clear what you do on your account.
Okay.
Um, it's just if you could get it to like 2 posts a week, even,
Yeah.
that would be really good.
Yeah, that should happen this week. They should have three. So I did two videos. One got 700 views, and then the second, I'll just check. The second one got 846 was 852 views was my reintroduction. Hello to my new work new people.
Yeah.
So obviously the algorithm understood what I said, and
Yeah.
then it obviously didn't understand quite so well the second one, but I still got 290 views.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was talking about the course I was my mastership, and obviously it didn't understand quite what I was saying compared with
Yeah. I'd
before.
also say that that can happen because the potential audience for just a chat is big out of
Yeah,
big, but the potential audience for people that will actually buy a course is smaller. And
yeah,
so therefore, even if the post worked, it will still go to a smaller audience
yeah,
because of that user embeddings and understanding like this person might actually buy something and it's going to be smaller than this person wants a conversation. So it's not whether or not the post worked better or if they like that shift is because of people willing to or ready to buy versus people who are just scrolling will be vastly different. So I wouldn't think that that's bad
yeah.
um or anything.
Most of the time I am just experimenting. So, because
Yeah.
I'm so haphazard, I need to get better about it this year. Is there an ideal length for a reel or anything like that?
Definitely no longer than 2 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah.
But on Clue Labs, it does tell you. Have you seen a
Yeah.
video suggestion? It will say duration.
No, I was just looking at the drop off rates of and
Oh,
I know what I'm like with a video.
yeah.
Give me 10, 15 seconds, I'll watch it. Give me any longer, and I'm like, well, maybe not.
Yeah, yeah. Let's definitely apply that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I'd say look at your drop-off rate. So if you look through your posts and the
Yeah.
drop-off rate, if your drop-off rate is, I don't know, 1 second, that means that you need to communicate in 1 second
What's happening?
what's happening. If the drop-off rate is 3 seconds, you've got 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's just an indication of how quick to get the point in or how much leniency your audience are giving you for the explanation.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not yeah, the I wouldn't a drop-off rate wouldn't determine the average length watch time length. It would just determine how quickly they respond to a message.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
So
doing really well.
yeah.
You really are. I know you always put yourself down every time we talk, but like you're what you would do every time you turn up, it's very clear.
Okay. I'm getting there, you see. I'm getting there.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
But it's time. It just takes time.
And just, it is time. So it is just like
It's a learning
piece by
curve.
piece by piece. Yeah. And you're never going to get to like Google page one in like a few posts or even a few months, So the way that the algorithms reset, I think, means that you can lean into the process a little bit more and not feel freaked out about it.
And if you are just the other thing is some people put underneath what the picture's about and things like that.
You
It-
don't need to do that.
The alt,
They already know so well.
you don't need to do alt codes or anything, just
Oh,
alt descriptions or anything like that.
alt text, not for the algorithm, no. Alt text is helpful for people who have turned on their visibly impaired
Yeah.
setting. So it is very inclusive. But it does, in terms of the algorithm and the understanding of that post, like, no, they know. Like, it's horrible how much they can see in a video.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's more, it just be because it's the right thing to do rather than it's a need to do.
I need to start doing that a bit more as well. So it's a process. I'm getting there.
Yeah, don't pile on too much. Just keep like, yeah, do the
Yeah.
beginning bits, and then when that's good, then pile on the next one, then pile on the next one.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cool. Um, questions. So Tara, and then Georgia, very quickly. I know you've got your Clue Labs. Um, if you want to stay on, we can quick like if you've got the
Perfect.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let me get through these
I sent my
questions.
daughter off to deal with the dog, so it was perfect. So
Oh, okay.
I
Because I was looking at your things and I was like, because I was the one responding to you, and I was like,
okay.
I need to see what it's. Can you send me a picture? But we'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Also, I hope you had a fabulous time in Japan.
It was
I did
insane.
see some
Yeah,
videos.
it was insane. I highly recommend it to everybody.
Okay, everyone, you've heard it. Japan. Okay, Tara, what is the best thing to do with stories now it's not as personal? So stories don't have stories, they won't inform the user embeddings, but they will inform the understanding of your account. So stories, because they only go out to people who are currently following you, it's not like they'll test the reaction so hard on it, and use that to determine the relevance of your account. Um, because they know that reaction of that is going to be different to the reaction of a normal post that you post. But they will use the story to understand on a deeper level, um, or to help inform what your account is about. Because they know that people are more off guard on stories. So they're more likely to get a like nuanced understanding of what someone is about on the story. So it does have the potential to completely take your account off track. But there is a little bit of leniency of this is going to be a little bit less specific. Um, I would use your stories very much. I wouldn't talk about anything that isn't business, or if you do, you can link it back into business. So, like, I'll take my daughter to dance things at the weekend, but I'll have a picture with my laptop and I'll be like, oh, I'm still, working from dance show. So it gives a context layer from people that know me and are interested, like, this is what I'm up to, but it's always tied back in to business. I've been really specific myself, and I don't know if this is right because it's not like I've written it down, I've seen it written down, but based on my understanding about emotion, I know myself, my stories are where I could likely ruin my emotional signature because I feel more close to the people watching the stories because they're followers, they're friends, generally same people over and over again. I've been quite strict with myself to not turn up on stories emotionally, which is perhaps what I would have done before. So, long answer to the question. The best thing to do with stories is to continue what you're doing, but every time think, have I communicated the business in this story? Um, and don't get too emotional.
Sorry if it's noisy. I'm at the part-time job. That's kind of where I've been like trying to figure out what's the best. It is a whole, do you turn up and put something personal? But I've been doing what you said, like if I've been out with the horse, I've created the life of freedom because I get leads through funnels, etc. So
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Yeah, but no, that really helps. Thank you.
yeah. I'm guessing that you're outside farm or something. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think you know the answer to the question. Definitely turn up though. Just simply because, okay, on a technical level, Google page one equivalent on social is the first post in the feed or the first story in the feed. So every time you log on to social media, it resets. There'll be a person in the front and there'll be a person there. And throughout the day, let's say I have posted 6 stories and they were all in the morning. And then followers turn up, people who watch my stories, people who watch your stories are the most warm customers because they are so invested in what you're doing. They're willing to watch your story of your life, basically. Or they might not be customers, but they'd be really good brand ambassadors or really good friends. And so they log on, and mine comes up first for the people that are most engaged in my stories. And they're 6 in the morning. They flick through them. Then let's say I don't post a story for 3 days and I do it on a Saturday evening. Next time I come up first on that thing is going to be Saturday evening. I'm not even going to come up at the next time they scroll on that day because they'll have consumed my stories and then someone else will replace that bit. So the only technical strategic layer that I would point on is that if you don't show up regularly in your stories, you're literally not top of mind. You're literally not there. You're literally not there. And so if you, this is why sometimes I'll do like my Monday morning, like what I'm doing in the week, because I know that that story, I know that everyone who I talk to is sitting down at work on a Monday. The first thing they do is open Instagram. The first thing they start to do is scroll. The first thing they start to do is think about their week. And so I can align with that thought with that customer straight away on Monday. It's the only kind of, aside from that, like I don't get too technical or structured with it, but I just know that if I don't show up on stories or if I haven't for a little while, I literally am not top of mind. So it's just the nudge of, yeah, I'm still here, I'm still here, I'm still here. And probably I don't do it at the weekend, at times where I think they're more likely to just log on for a quick scroll. Because when you quick scroll, you just look at stories first. I don't know, most people do. So if you want to get super strategic and manipulative, for the best want of the word, just think about it like that. Yeah. Any other questions? No. Okay. All right, I might boot everybody off, and then Georgia, we can go through your Clue Labs thing. So thank you everybody for coming. And if you have any questions, you can always ask. Please ask anywhere. If you are in Clue Labs, you've got the chat bot, or the help center, or you can drop us in a message, like an Instagram message. Someone sent me something on LinkedIn. You can email hello@cluelabs.co.uk. I am normally the person on the end of all of those. So I'm normally the person that sees it all. But generally, just please get in touch. Or if you're not a part of Clue Labs and you found this really, really helpful, like I said, there's more on the website in the resources, and there's more on the academy at .cluelabs.co.uk. And again, you can just ask me any questions, and I'm here every single Friday at 11. See ya. Have a lovely weekend. Right, I will remove Billy. I'll put him away. Okay, cool. Can you share your screen? It's just us.
Can I share my screen?